What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And the House of Representatives has just passed a major bill here to ban assault rifles. We'll go over that here, the details of that here in the House of Representatives. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe down below. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Here we go. Okay, first up, the U.S. House of Representatives has passed a bill to ban assault weapons. So this is past the House here. Here's the details. Yeah, the House on Friday passed a bill to ban assault weapons, securing a significant victory for Democrats following a spate of mass shootings across the country and marking the first time lawmakers have approved a prohibition on the popular firearms in more than 2 decades. So they have been banned before, but as you can see here, it's been quite a significant amount of years since they have been banned. The legislation, titled the Assault Weapons Ban of 2022, barely cleared the House of Representatives in a 217 yes vote to 213 no vote. Two Republicans supported the legislation: Chris Jacobs, Republican from New York, and Brian Fitzpatrick, a Republican from Pennsylvania, supported the measure. While a couple Democrats voted no, Henry Cuellar from Texas, Jared Golden from Maine, Vincent Gonzalez from Texas, and Kurt Schrader and Ron Kine from Wisconsin voted no. Yeah, so those were the Democrats that voted no. Speaker Nancy Pelosi from California, Speaker of the House, announced Friday morning that the House would take up the legislation that afternoon, scheduling the last-minute vote after she said that they might punt the legislation. Democrats had planned to move the assault weapons ban with the community safe legislation under one rule, but ultimately decided to consider them separately after some liberals voiced concern about the lack of accountability in police measures. Now, here's where the details of this bill are. The assault weapons ban legislation specifically calls for prohibiting the sale and manufacture, transfer or import of various semi-automatic assault weapons, okay, and semi-automatic pistols and semi-automatic shotguns, depending on their features, okay. And where that comes into play here, all semi-automatic rifles that can accept detachable magazines and have a pistol grip, a forward grip, or a grenade launcher, a barrel shroud, a threaded barrel, or a folding, telescoping, and detachable stock are subject to the ban. And remember here, the ban is for prohibiting new sales, manufacturing, transfer, or importing of various, as you can see here, the categories of what falls underneath these, okay? Basically, for slang, assault rifles, okay? Semi-automatic assault rifles with fixed magazines that can accept more than 15 rounds are subject to the ban, would be prohibited under the legislation, except those with an attached tubular device that can hold .22 caliber rimfire ammunition. A poll conducted by Fox News in June, so note this is conducted by Fox News, so this would be a poll that tends towards the more Republican side even, okay? In June, found that 63% of registered voters supported banning assault weapons, yet only 2 Republicans voted yes on it. So that's where it gets interesting here. 63% of a poll conducted by Fox News are in support of banning assault weapons, but yet only 2 out of 200 and I think it's 210 Republicans that are in the House of Representatives. Former President Bill Clinton had enacted an assault weapons ban in 1994 that was passed through Congress. but it expired 10 years later, and Congress has not had the support to pass another measure of its kind. There was a bill that was passed by the House and Senate here last month in a bipartisan manner. Republican Senator Mitch McConnell got Republican support in the Senate to pass it, which President Biden signed into law. That measure enhances background checks for gun purchasers, but only for ages 18 to 21. It also establishes a federal offense for individuals obtaining firearms through straw purchases or gun trafficking, among other provisions in that bill. That bill marked even the first time in almost 3 decades that Congress had even approved any significant legislation to combat gun violence at all. In this poll, which was done by Fox News last month, it gives an idea here. Remember, this is typically Republican leaning. So, if anything, it's not going to be Democratic leaning, if anything, right? Here's what the poll says. In general, 56% of people believe that having tougher gun laws would reduce mass shootings in the United States, while 39% do not. When it doesn't add up to 100%, that some people say that they're not sure, right? Voters are most supportive of requiring background checks on all gun buyers, 88%. Again, that one seems like a no-brainer, right? To not require a background check, 88% of people are in favor of that, right? Improving enforcement of existing gun laws, 84% are in favor of that. Yeah. 8 and 10 favor raising the legal age to buy assault weapons to at least 21. Passing red flag laws that allow police to take guns from people shown to be a danger, 81%. Background checks on buying ammunition, which is kind of the same thing, background checks, 80%. Mental health checks, 78%. Raising the legal age to buy any gun to 21, 78%. Reduced gun violence poll, roughly 3/4 favor requiring a 30-day wait for all gun purchases. I've said that in the past. I think that would be a good thing too. If you're in a really big hurry to buy a gun, might not be a good thing, right? 77%. Generally, whenever you see you see this in Congress, whenever you see anything over around 2/3, 67%, in Congress, that's considered a supermajority. That's enough to override a presidential veto. And that's considered a supermajority. So anytime you ever see anything over 67%, that's a lot. That's a for lack of a better word, that's a lot. So yeah, so if Congress ever passes anything and the president overrides it, that can override a veto. So that's considered a supermajority. Anytime you ever see something that high, it's a significant amount. And increasing the number of armed guards at schools and public venues, 73%. I'm for this as long as they're like trained professionals, like police. As long as they're trained professionals, that's the key there. 7 and 10 favor banning high-capacity ammunition, 70%, while slightly less support banning assault weapons, 63%. The only proposal that tested the lack majority support are allowing teachers to carry guns at school, 48%, and encouraging more citizens to carry a weapon, 45%. Partisans disagree on banning assault weapons. 84% of Democrats favor it. Only 44% of Republicans favor it. And that's where we see, a big difference here. More citizens carrying guns, 30 versus 60, and allowing teachers to have guns, 29 versus 67%. So you see a big disparity there, right? At least half of both parents and gun-owning households support each of the measures tested in the surveys. Majority of veterans are also likely to support them, with the exceptions of encouraging more citizens to carry guns. So the problem here with this is it's passed the House. Now it has to go to the Senate, and if they don't get 60 votes in the Senate, this bill will die. And then what we could see happen, though, is if they can get Mitch McConnell's support, they could pass something like this. Now, right now, this bill does not, I'll be honest with you, because again, I just try to give you guys the truth here, um, or what I think I could see being the truth. And, I tend to not be too off with what I consider my finger on the pulse here. I don't think this can pass here. But what happened with the other gun safety bill that passed, if you remember here, the House passed the bill previously, and they didn't get any Republican support, and they weren't able to pass it. But then what they did, and the problem, same thing with this bill, is that they didn't really get any Republican support here. They only got 2 votes here. They're going to need 10 votes in the Senate, and remember, there's only 50 Republicans there. There's not 210 like there is in the House. What they can do is that they can go to the Senate and negotiate. They can look at these poll numbers that they already knew about these poll numbers. They need to go about it differently. They need to go about it and say, okay, well, a straight up assault ban, there's just not the votes, even though the majority of Americans want it, 63%. And when we look at these, and again, that doesn't even include, there's 37% of people, but all the 37% of people on the other side aren't all yeses. There's some people that aren't sure or didn't, say, I don't know. So the problem here is that they probably don't have the votes to pass it in the Senate, even though the majority of people want to see this banned. It was banned in the past, okay? And so again, call, tweet, email your senators, let them know if you're from, their state or anything like that. But for something to pass like this, they're probably going to have to negotiate and maybe have a slightly less version or slightly middle version of the road to get something done. That's what happened with the other gun safety ban or bill. And a lot of people think that it was one step in the right direction, but not a lot. Even some of the we've seen some of the the shooting survivors. Remember, we seen that guy who was a shooting survivor stand up in one of the hearings. I showed you guys the footage of that. We've seen some of the fathers stand up and kind of voice at the president, and the president say, "Hey, I know, I wish I could pass more, but." Congress has to pass it first, okay? So, yeah, so that's the thing here, is that we're beholden to what Congress can pass, and that means Republicans and Democrats, because you can't pass this type of stuff without 60 votes in the Senate. Now, some people are happy about that. Some people are not happy about that. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments, okay? So really, this has been one of the biggest topics here, and one of the biggest things on people's mind: inflation, gun safety, and women's choice, women's rights, and the Roe v. Wade have really kind of been the 3 biggest things right now going on here. So you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. What do you think? And I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on new videos, and click the bell icon down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on new videos, and I will keep you up to date here. You can click here to see a $280 billion bill that was just passed in Congress, and here to see Nancy Pelosi and her husband kind of got caught with insider trading and had to sell. And there's a video detailing that. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.